Hi everyone, welcome back to day 3. This is video 2. We left off here on the occupational outlook, and I just want to show you this is a phenomenal tool you should be looking at. We just went through desktop publishing on the down, software developer on the rise. Let's look at one more just as an example. Writer. Some of you are actually, you know what, they had technical writer. Let's assume you're a technical writer. Great reading here. Take your time, go through that. I want to look at the job outlook. Employment of technical writers is expected to grow faster than average for all occupations. Job prospects are expected to be good. That's positive news, and they talk about a bit more specifically about it. Earnings, median annual wages for salaried technical writers were $61,000 a year. That's the median. Some people make more, some people make less, but ultimately, that's a good field to be in. So let's go back to Odesk. So what we've seen now is that you have primary research through Odesk, just through looking at the available jobs, and secondary research looking at the occupational outlook. Now that's the first thing that in terms of, you know, what is it that I need to do? That's how you develop your marketing strategy, is your market dynamics. What trends or market movers are there? That's something that ultimately depends on what you're into. You should know that. The best place to look are online at any sort of professional organizations. Sometimes trades magazines will show you the trends and what's really happening that's shaking things up. But this one you have to answer yourself, but you got to go do that. Let's talk about target audience. This is something you have to know. You have to know who your target client is, like he's your brother. You have to know him really, really well. The better you know him, or her, or them, the better off you are, because you can provide a unique or special service that keeps them happy and pleased and coming back. Incidentally, as we are developing the marketing strategy, one thing to keep in mind is this. As you move forward, you're going to kind of intuitively know a lot of these things. Figuring out it in advance will give you a leg up, but you'll begin to know these things. You should always keep it in mind, especially for people that have already hired you. An existing customer is powerful and effective. It's worth a lot more than someone you have to go out and find. In other words, the better you know your client that you have or that you have had, the more business you can derive from them. It's much more like a partnership, so please keep that in mind. But in terms of your target audience, who is this person? What do they look like? What are some of their pains or issues? And how do you create value for them? That's of critical importance. How do you create value for them? In other words, how do you make yourself valuable to them? What problems do you solve? What pain do you take care of? What issues do you hammer out? It's important to understand that, because that's when you get paid more and more money. Things that are valuable, you pay more for. You're much more likely to pay more for a diamond ring than you would a can of Coca-Cola. It's just more valuable. So I'm going to pay more for it. That's how you make yourself really, how you make your earnings increase, is you make yourself more valuable. The only way to do that is to understand your target client a little bit better. In terms of how you figure that out, again, there are multiple ways. But Odesk has great tools, and you do that by doing a little bit of research in here. And let's say customer service. You do take the steps you have before. You'll see this over and over again. But you begin to take the steps, and what you do is you start reading through. What do people want? What are they hiring for? Let's say, actually, I'm on the wrong one. I'm looking for jobs. I'm looking, for jobs, not contractors. You read through enough of these and you begin, because there's 256 jobs out there. I would say take your time to read through these. I'm not going to do that right now because of just our time frame, but also just to show you that, okay, you'll start to see the patterns in your field that people want. Are they looking for technical people, that the customer service people who are more technical? They want customer service people who are more salesy, who can deal with issues or problems? Do they want writers who are just churn out a lot of just verbiage quick? Do they want a technical writer? Do they want a blogger? They're all slightly different, and you'll start to see the trends, and you'll start to see, well, these are needs, these are pain points that businesses have out there. You can develop your marketing strategy around that. So hopefully that's pretty clear, actually. It should be clear that this is what you're trying to do, is figure out where can I make money? What space is out there that people are willing to pay for? Competition, use the same basic tool. You're in Odesk. You want to search out the contractors in this case. Let's just take a different one, writing translation. And you'll see there's 100,000 contractors. This is, of course, broad general. If I want to narrow it down to website content, how many are those? Okay, we know there's 55,000. So at least it's not much smaller, but it is smaller. Let's see only the top people, because, of course, you expect to be the top person, I hope. So how many are left here? 5,000. Now we've gotten to a manageable number. Let's say I only want, let's say, traditional English speaking, Europe, North America, Western Europe. Let's see how many we got. 2,200. And what you begin doing, now that you've narrowed the field, you begin walking through these and seeing what are they making. $14 an hour, $24 an hour, $27 an hour. And you begin to figure out, well, this is what's going on in my field in terms of my competition. Because it's important to know how many are there, how busy are they. You can see the type of jobs and how often they're working. Figure out how much they charge. This is critical. How do they promote themselves? What's their billing? Are they technical? Are they creative writers? Do they have a specialized skill within a larger skill? Let's say, for instance, they're not only a website developer, they know Flash really well. That's their key expertise. Or they know Java very, very well. And then that's how they focus or specialize. And again, that's also how they drive their rates higher, is by being a specialist. The last thing, as we close out this last video, is just your unique selling proposition. On this, what I have to say is this, is you are your brand. Just like McDonald's or Coca-Cola or IBM, anyone that's big out there, you think that they spend millions of dollars developing their brand. In other words, when you think of Coca-Cola, they want you to think refreshing. When you think of IBM, they want you to think just technical gurus, people who can do it all and are great. Well, what do people think about when they think of you? Now, it doesn't mean in reality, like your family and your friends think one thing, that's fine. But ultimately, your business associates and your clients, you want to develop through your profile, through the work that you do, through the information you pass out to the world. That's part of your marketing strategy is, well, what do you want them to think? You have to figure that out. You have to create this kind of reality about yourself. And this is one of the most important things you can do. How do you derive it? By knowing these things: market dynamics, target audience, competition. You keep that in mind because that's going to drive the direction you go, but then also knowing yourself. How are you different? If you've got specialized skills or talents, or 2 or 3 that you can kind of combine, that's a great point of differentiation. How are you possibly better than your competition? Well, you better be able to prove it, but for instance, let's kind of wrap it all together in closing out. Let's say, for instance, you are a graphic designer, and you know all the basic programs, but you don't want to just be on Odesk or anywhere saying, I'm a graphic designer. What you want to do is specialize or position yourself. If you've done the market dynamic study and you know your target audience, you know that right now there are a ton of big companies out there looking for graphic designers, and they are kind of on the slant or the bent that right now website animation is really cool. And you know from your competition there's not that many. Then what you should do is your unique selling proposition or your brand is not just I'm a graphic designer, but try this one. It's graphic design animation expert. Lots of experience in Fortune 500. That's what all of your marketing messages, your profile, your cover letter, your card, everything you do should communicate animation expert with Fortune 500 company experience. Let's imagine that you're a writer. Well, again, you're competing against thousands of people. But what if you're not just a writer, but you're a blogging pro with internet marketing experience? Well, there's a whole field of internet marketing who are just dying for bloggers right now. They can't do it themselves. They need your help. What if you're like I had kind of set up this alias with Jack Pepper? You're not just a customer service person, but you're a problem customer turnaround champ. How about that? Doesn't that sound so much better? Now, I mean, it's not just about sounding better. You do have to be able to prove it, but it's the brand that you want to create based upon the market dynamics, your target audience, and your competition, and knowing yourself. So that's it for video 2. We'll pick back up and we'll actually go into your marketing plan. Those are the tactics that are going to drive business to you. Thanks very much. Talk to you soon.